You are writing an entire essay to people who already decided to misunderstand you. You are explaining boundaries to people who don't respect them and defending yourself to people who are not even interested in the truth. Stop exhausting yourself trying to convince people who benefit from misunderstanding you. I think one of the biggest signs of growth is the moment you stop feeling the need to explain everything you do. You stop explaining why you said no. You stop explaining why you walked away. You stop explaining why you changed. You stop explaining why you don't want to be available all the time. And most importantly, you stop feeling guilty for making decisions that protect your peace. This message is for me too because I think many of us have spent too much time trying to make people understand us. We explain our intention, we explain our feelings, we explain our decisions, we explain why something hurt us. And sometimes we explain the same thing over and over to someone who has already made up their mind about us. At some point, we have to realize that not everyone is confused. Some people understand you perfectly, they just don't agree with you. And that's okay. You don't need everyone to agree with you, you don't need everyone to approve of you, and definitely don't need to turn every decision you make into a courtroom where you are constantly defending yourself. The older I get, the more I realize that explanations should be given when they are necessary, not because you are desperate for approval. There is a difference. Sometimes you owe someone an explanation because they genuinely care about you and deserve clarity. But sometimes you are explaining because you are afraid they won't like your decision. You are explaining because you are afraid they will call you selfish. You are explaining because you are afraid they will misunderstand you. And that is where we get trapped. We start living our lives based on how other people might react. We stop asking, is this right for me? And we start asking, will everyone be okay with this? But here is the truth: everyone will always be okay with your choices. Some people will misunderstand you, some people will judge you, some people will create their own version of your story. And you have to learn to live with that because you cannot control the story people tell about you. You can only control how you live. Sometimes people will call you selfish when you finally stop doing everything for them. They will call you, they will say you have changed when you finally set boundaries. They will say you are proud when you stop begging for acceptance. And if you spend your entire life trying to correct every misunderstanding, you will never have time to actually live. This is why silence can sometimes be powerful. Not a silent treatment, not silence used to punish people, but the kind of silence that comes from knowing who you are. You don't argue, you don't chase, you don't write long paragraphs. You simply make your decision and move forward. Because when you are secure in yourself, you don't need to convince everyone of your word. You know who you are, and that's enough. The moment you stop explaining yourself is not the moment you stop caring about people. It's the moment you stop allowing their opinions to control you. You can still communicate, you can still apologize when you are wrong, you can still take responsibility, you can still listen, but you no longer feel the need to defend your entire existence. And that is the freedom. Because sometimes the more you explain yourself, the more people find things to argue about. You explain one thing, they question another, you answer that, they bring up something else, and suddenly you are exhausted. Not because you did something wrong, but because you are trying to convince someone who has no intention of understanding you. That is when you have to set or step back. Not every accusation deserves a response. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. And not every person deserves access to your private thoughts. Sometimes your actions over time will explain you better than your words ever could. Let people watch, let them think, let them misunderstand, let your life speak. Because eventually, the truth does not need to shout, it simply remains true. So maybe it's time to stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided what they want to believe. Stop writing paragraphs to prove that you have a good heart. Stop begging people to understand your boundaries. Stop defending every decision that brings you peace. You don't have to convince everyone. You don't have to be understood by everyone. And you don't have to be liked by everyone. Sometimes the most powerful explanation is no explanation at all. Just live your life. Let your actions speak and let people think whatever they want. Because the moment you stop explaining yourself to everyone is the moment you finally start living for yourself.